we go to Eylon Levy. And Eylon is the former Israeli government spokesperson. Eylon, I know there's so much to talk about in relation to this conflict and what's going on. But what did you make of what Alistair Burt was saying there in terms of economic costs, not only to the region, but to the world?
As well, of allowing Iranian aggression to go unchecked. I don't know whether your viewers understand. The Houthi pirates, who are backed, funded, and trained by Iran, now control access to the Red Sea. They have completely blockaded Israel's port of Eilat, massively restricted ships going through the Suez Canal, and that is sending commodity prices soaring. Yemen is now controlled by an Iranian-backed terrorist regime called the Houthis, against whom the UK has also conducted targeted strikes, and they're causing commodity prices around the world to go up. We're dealing now with the consequences of Iranian aggression going unchecked, and it's that Iranian aggression that needs to be put back in a box.
Alistair Burt was saying there that pretty much most people agree that there will not be a military solution to this crisis. Do you take that view?
Well, look, the last Lebanon war ended in 2006 with a diplomatic resolution. It was called UN Security Council Resolution 1701. It ordered Hezbollah to disarm and back off away from the Israeli border. That was a political solution. It was never enforced, ever, over the last 18 years. As a result, southern Lebanon is now controlled by an Iranian-backed proxy army that has fired over 9,000 rockets into Israel, displaced over 60,000 Israelis. They've been homeless for the last year because the Hezbollah decided to flout a UN resolution and has been shooting rockets at Israel. And so Israel finds itself in a position now in the north saying, we've been warning Hezbollah for a year, back off or we will have to push you away. You didn't back off and now we have to push you away. But obviously we want a diplomatic resolution, right? We do not want a war.
But Eylon, who was in charge of implementing that diplomatic resolution? In other words, was there an outside force, UN, whatever?
The UN.
Yeah.
The UN, UNIFIL, UN peacekeepers on the ground who did absolutely nothing. You can look at their Twitter. They haven't mentioned the word Hezbollah once in all the years they have had a Twitter account.
But
we want to have a diplomatic resolution, right?
Yes,
we don't want to war.
Yes, but my question remains, if I may. You know, this may be true. They flouted that 2006 resolution from the United Nations. But by sending in these walkie-talkie explosive devices that were indiscriminate, sending in these pages, by taking a different, I suppose, risk approach to the conflict in the area, because you've moved your attention away from Gaza to the north of Israel, do you think that that is going to resolve that issue that hasn't been, as you say, upheld by the United Nations? Or do you think it's going to just exacerbate it?
Now, hang on. First of all, you called that pager attack indiscriminate. That was, without a doubt, not only the most precise attack in military history, but the most precise attack in military future. If that was really Israel, it made thousands of military communications devices supplied by a terrorist organization exclusively to its terror operatives explode in 99% of cases when they were held up against the terrorists' faces. This is proper James Bond stuff. It is the opposite of indiscriminate. It is far into science fiction levels of precision. Now look, what is happening in the north is this. Israel has been under attack now for a year by the Iranian regime and its proxy armies on 7 fronts. We are fighting for our lives on 7 fronts. This war started when Hamas launched the barbaric October 7th massacre. The following day, their allies, Hezbollah, Iran's proxy army in Lebanon, joined in the fight. The Houthis joined in the fight as well. We've had drones and rocket attacks from Syria, from Iraq, attempted suicide bombings from the West Bank, direct ballistic missile attacks from Iran. On any given day in Israel, we have rockets coming in from 4 or 5 different directions from Iranian proxy armies.
And of course,
and what Israel is trying to do is to make that stop and to make sure that Iran's proxy armies cannot restart those attacks on Israel civilians whenever they choose that the time is right.
And I hear you, and I accept that, of course, Israel must be able to defend itself. My question, I suppose, would be to Iran, you know, what is your end game? Are you trying to weaken Israel in this, which clearly isn't working? And I suppose my question to you, and it follows on from my previous question, is sort of echoing the words of the foreign minister in Jordan, who is no fan of Hezbollah, Iran, or indeed Hamas, who said, please, world media, ask Israel, what is your end game? Because their actions, your actions at the moment, are not going to do anything to resolve this, but possibly make it worse. What would you say to him?
Iran's end game is the destruction of the state of Israel, the obliteration of Israel, the annihilation of Israel. Its leaders are very clear about that. There is literally a landmark in Tehran of a doomsday clock that counts down to the day. Our end game is peace and security for our people. And that's going to require our enemies abandoning the forever war that they are waging to try to destroy the state of Israel. Israel's strategic predicament is that, by the way, as Foreign Secretary Lamy said a while ago, Israel is surrounded by enemies that seek its annihilation. We want to live, they want us to die. I'm not sure what the compromise is somewhere in the middle over there. We've been under attack on 7 fronts now by Iranian proxy armies for a year. And we are trying to stop those rocket attacks, to get back the hostages who are still in Gaza, and to make sure that our people can go safely back to their homes. Look, 7 fronts. So let's zone in on one. There are 60,000 Israelis now who've been displaced. They've been living in hotels for the last year. They can't go home in the north because Hezbollah is bombing their homes. All we want is for those people to go safely back to their homes without rocket attacks and without the threat of another October 7th from Lebanon. Yesterday, swallowed in the news cycle, the IDF revealed Hezbollah's plans to invade from Lebanon and launch another October 7th massacre.
Eylon,
all we want is to close that possibility.
We've got to leave it there. Thank you very much for explaining things in such a detailed way and outlining the whole for and against situation there. We thank you and say goodbye to you there.